It's important for you to have emotions, but not for your emotions to have you. And what I simply mean by that is that the way we're being controlled is through emotions. It's based on feelings, whether we feel like it or we don't feel like it. It's these emotions, and they use our emotions to keep us in a position where we're not able to thrive. Some of us are able to rise above it and thrive. We got some beautiful, wonderful black people doing some amazing things, you know.
Hey, family. Welcome to another episode of the Black Man's Roundtable. I am your host, Rodney Butler, and today we have a great show for you today. We are bringing on a brother who is from Chicago, Illinois. I know on this platform you are so used to having people that in the metro Atlanta area, Georgia, the Southeast, and all of that. But we are actually doing some things with brothers in Chicago. And so with that, we have our very first guest on in this new, I guess I can say like movement that we're doing between Atlanta and Chicago for the Black Man's Roundtable. So with that, this brother is named Sean Jernard Parker, and he is a community leader, and this is one of our community leader series. Today we're going to talk about his book. It's called A Well-Dressed Lie, Following the Breadcrumbs to an Uncomfortable Truth. We're going to talk a little bit about this brother's personal journey. He has his personal journey is very intriguing. I ask you all to just really listen in to the things that this brother has to say. And also, we're going to talk about the rocky journey that so many of our young black men and boys have to navigate in order to try to be successful in this country called the United States of America. So without further ado, I want to bring on Mr. Sean Parker. Sean, how are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well, doing well. We out here, it's a little under the weather. Nevertheless, we proceed.
That is
So I'm really
outstanding, man.
excited. Yeah,
I
excited
was going
about
to
the
actually,
opportunity.
I was going to actually put that caveat out there that he's a little under the weather. So for those of you that know him very well, if he seemed to look a little bit different, he's a little under the weather. But go ahead on, Sean.
Yeah, because I'm typically more vivacious, but at the same time, we excited, to connect with our brothers and sisters down there in Atlanta. Been down there several times, spoke there and everything. But we're doing some unique things in here in Chicago, so it was really a treat and a treatment, to have this opportunity for us to sit down a little bit and talk and see what we can do and what needs to be done. Still, what y'all doing, give what we doing, and together we can make magic happen.
Absolutely, bro. And that's going to be the intent. And I hope that all the things that we have talked about, you and your team, myself and my team, that we be able to bring these two cities together and then expand this thing even more. Because as we see right now, man, there are forces out there. Sean, there are forces out there that are trying to bring down these black-led cities and make us look like we don't know what we're doing. Make it look like crime and everything is happening when it's really not as bad as maybe what we might think. Right. But also we can handle our business. We've done it before, and I think that we can do it again. But before we get all off into that, Sean, I want you to tell this Black Man's Roundtable audience a little bit about your journey, brother.
Yeah. Well, it's a rocky journey, nowhere near with a silver spoon in my mouth. You understand what I'm saying? Maybe a joint, but just keeping it a buck. I grew up here in the inner city of Chicago, Inglewood area. And my dad stayed on the north side, so by the Cabrini Green projects, we was over there. So, in those kind of environments, it's going to be extremely toxic. You know what I'm saying? So, as a matter of fact, at around 5 years old, between 5 and 6 years old, I'm smoking weed and I'm getting high. And it wasn't, and this is before my dad left, but it wasn't because of, I just had the propensity or just the eagerness to do it. But at the same time, I wanted to do it because my brothers and sisters were doing it. So I told them, I'm like, listen, if y'all don't give me none, when mom, dad come on, I'm telling. I'm telling, right? So in order to keep my mouth shut, that's how they started, giving it to me and everything. So, I had a large age gap between my brother and my sister. So,
And Sean, I was going to ask you, what's your birth order? Are you the youngest?
I'm the middle child.
Middle child. Okay, got you.
I'm the middle child. Yeah, I'm the middle child.
Got
So,
you.
older sister, older brother, sister gone now. But my older brother and I got a younger brother. But it was just wild like that. We had a house parties and the parties on the neighborhood at my crib. My dad leave. I'm about 9 years old. Nobody sit down, talk to us, kind of let us know life is finna change now or any of those things. We just, he was coming home every week and then be gone on the weekend. Then it switched where he's gone all week and then home on the week. And then that was it. He was just gone all together. So, but so yeah, so without that around my older brother and sister, without that ruling, I mean, they started gang banging, joined the Black Gangster Disciples, and me and my brother started going back and forth on the north side. But I got caught up in everything that the neighborhood had to offer. So I joined the Black Gangster Disciples. I went in as a foot soldier. I went from a foot soldier to a spokesman, from a spokesman to a chief enforcer, from a chief enforcer to a general. And so, that's just how it worked out. I started as a juvenile going back and forth to jail. I didn't really finish my freshman year at Calumet High School where I went, same where Kirby Puckett went, won the World Series in Minnesota. Shaka Khan went there, not during my time. I'm younger than them.
Right.
But I didn't finish my freshman year there because I was in and out of St. Charles Juvenile Penal Facility. Matter of fact, I was in St. Charles when they had Sean Penn come down there to do the movie Bad Boys. It was right at the same time and everything. So, but while I was incarcerated, there was a Bible study that they mentioned, and because I had general rank, there was nobody really over me. So we sitting down playing cards, and one of the guys, the security the guard, say to the guy, "Man, I need you to go do such and such, such and such." And he look at me, I nod my head, and he go ahead. Well, the guards thought I was just trying to show how tough I was or whatever, and it had nothing to do with that. It was just people respecting the position or the title that I had, at that time. So I was about to snap off. And this guy came by, and then I guess come in there every Wednesday. He said, anybody want to go to Bible study? I first one up, sign my name, not to get saved, not to go to church, not to start doing nothing that got to do with God. I just wanted to get off the deck. So I'm sitting there, my arms all folded up, representing, the gang I was a part of and everything, looking at this Bible study teacher, mean and crazy, thinking, how can I get him? He starts sharing his history, how he was out on drugs and got shot and stabbed and all these different things going on. Sound just like my life. I'm like, man, my hands started to slide down and slide down. Now I'm finding myself paying attention. And at the end, he said, anybody want me to pray for him? Anybody want to meet this Jesus? I'm looking at Larry and Rick Dog thinking in my mind, if I ask this guy to pray for me, that's a sign of weakness. We in jail. Nigga, I'll pull a train with my teeth. You know what I'm saying? I'll run through a wall, come out on the other side. Can't show no vulnerability, right? But I'm like, if this guy ain't lying to me, I need this in my life. And I said, yeah, preacher man, pray for me. I want to see what's to this thing. So he put his hand on my forehead, told me to repeat after him. And I did exactly what he did. And tears just started coming down my face. I'm like, man, what's up, man? What's happening, man? What you do to me, man? What's going on? He said, no, don't worry about that, young man. Gave me a little brown New Testament Bible, said, take this and read it. So I'm all tore up. I'm going back on the day. I can't let nobody see me like this. I go straight into the cell and everything. And, I just, from that point on, my life took a different trajectory. And so it showed me that I don't have to live like I've been living. I'm out here robbing, snatching purses, breaking in freight trains, selling drugs, hurting people, car stealing, doing all kind of crazy stuff. You know, I'm like, this is it. I mean, what else is there to do? It was like, that was an aha moment for me. And so, I came out the next morning. I dropped my flags. Worst place to drop your flags is in jail because you can't run. You ain't got nowhere to, and plus I had general rank. I was supposed to get a DV, but that violation. But I was praying and I was like, God, I want to go home. My family, my
Now,
mom will
Sean,
be different now.
Sean,
You
do me
know,
a favor. Explain to the
yeah.
audience when you say drop your flags.
Okay. That means to get from underneath the gang, to separate yourself from the gang, to say, I'm no longer gang affiliated. Right? Because at that level, I supposed to get a death violation because you can't just leave all of a sudden now you want to do no, it don't work that way, homie. You know what I'm saying? But while I was still at the detention center before I got shipped downstate, I'm thinking I go to court, God gonna touch the judge hard. I'm finna get up out this piece. You know what I'm saying? No sirree, Bob. No, you're gonna have to do this. So I'm like, dag. So they handcuffed us, put it on, we get on the bus, go on our way down. I'm listening to the words in my ears. I'm thinking, like, man, you drop your flags, man. You thought you was going home. You ain't going home, homie. What you gonna do when they come for you, man? Again, you ain't got no more support now, right? So I said, forget that. I'm finna keep gang banging then. I'm not finna drop my flag and whatever. So I got back, I got processed in 11, 12 o'clock at night, guys mopping the floors, buffing everybody locked away and stuff like that. Man, what's up, man? What you on, man? I said, man, I'm a gangster, and went into the little cell thing, felt bad, opened my little Bible, fell on a verse that was encouraging to me. Said, I would not fear. What can man do unto me? Hebrews 13 chapter, whatever. I said, you know what? I don't care what the consequences are. When I come up out of here tomorrow, I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm going to let them know. I came out, we all naked, and, we getting ready to take a shower. We got towel, soap, so I'm in line. They see a new face. He just come in, brand new, fresh. 4-5 guys come up to me at the same time, say, man, how you campaigning, man? What are you about? I said, man, I just put my hand together just like this and started bowing my head and saying, I'm a Christian, I believe in God. And one of the guys said, man, I was thinking about doing the same thing. I was like, what, you was? So it went from that to me. I had some threats, but nobody never approached me. I had maybe one fight or something like that in there as a result of it, but really they saw I handled myself. It was pretty much over after that. But when I got out, on this special program, because I'm doing all these good things. I ain't in no trouble in jail. I get out. And as soon as I get out, I go right back to the same block. I go back to the same neighborhood, back to my same family. I'm back on the streets again. So I catch another case. So I'm already then violated. So I come back and the guy see me that was calling me preacher man. Hey, preacher man, what's up, man? Man, we ain't glad to see you, man, but it's good to see you, man. I said, man, I ain't no preacher, man. I ain't no Christian, man. I ain't cut out for that stuff, man. I already know me. When I get out, I'm going back to the same thing I was doing. That ain't just made for me. So they just kept on. Well, we praying for you. We praying for you. And finally, one Sunday, I went back to a service at the facility that I was at, recommitted my heart. 6 months later, I'm back out. I've made a plan. I said, okay, now I know I got to be different, or I'm coming back up in here. I swear, for God, I don't want to come back up in here no more. I'm tired of being with these people. I got to do something different. So what I did was I said, okay, I'm not finna get with nobody other than my family. So I would get out. I got out, and I would see guys coming down the street that I knew, right? And I would duck down by a car just so they wouldn't see me because I was so weak. If they were saying anything, I was going. So they walk past, I get up, I keep on moving. So I just started doing that, and I started going to church. I went to church 7 days a week for 2.5 years straight. I mean, church in jail, to jailhouse church, the Bible studies. I went in all these different denominations. Whatever was open, I was going. That was my drug program. They weren't talking about robbing nobody. Oh, okay. I'm not talking about. They weren't talking about getting high. So I would just force myself on people. Excuse me, I'm Brother Sean. How you doing, Sister so-and-so, Brother so-and-so? Yeah, I'm going to be coming over here and whatever. And that time built me. So I ended up going to get my GED because I didn't finish my freshman year in high school. I stayed in jail. And while I got my GED, one of the pastors, Pastor Jones here in Chicago, very famous pastor, a lot of outreach in the neighborhood and everything like that, got a hold of me. He said, man, call of God is on your life, Sean. You need to go to Bible college. So what I do, I went on down to Minneapolis. I didn't know nobody, went down to Minnesota and went to North Central Bible College, North Central University down there. I said, man, they ain't on fire like they are in Chicago. So I pulled my sister up there. I pulled my nephew. I pulled both of my brothers to get them out the street. Because at one point, I was locked up for robbery. My brother was locked up for robbery. And my sister was locked up on a murder charge. All three of us was locked up at the same time. My younger brother was still out. But, my mom was, so I'm like, look, I got to save their lives. I got to get them up out the block. I got to get them off the block. So I moved them on down there and everything like that. So, I did the ministry thing for a while. I traveled around the country preaching and all this stuff in London, preached for the Billy Graham Association and everything. I really grew real fast because my testimony and all the things that I came from and everything. And that was relevant for me. That's my foundation that I have. But when people come to Chicago, they come to look at our beautiful skyline. Willis Tower, they used to be called the Sears Tower, the John Hancock. We got one of the most beautiful skylines in the world. But when the people come, they're not wondering about the foundation. No, they want to look at the structure, the building. So again, my foundation was that experience in Christianity and the thing that I had. But now what I have built outside of that is I've outgrown that scenario. And so it put me on a different trajectory. So like what I end up doing, I started going back and forth in the jail, speaking for their GED ceremonies and encouraging the brothers. They was getting out of jail. They was like, man, look, I got to eat. I got a family to feed, man. How am I supposed to do this and the other? So I started Parker Brothers Delivery Company, right? So I had all the Sam's Clubs. I had the just different stores and stuff like that. And I contracted with. I never knew anything about doing deliveries. I went up to the library. I looked up proposals. I typed it up on a word processor. That's how far back it go. Took it and submitted it to Walmart's and Sam's Club. They loved it. So I was hiring these guys so they ain't had to rob and sell no drugs and still was able to take care of their family. So it went from there to moving people down to Atlanta, Missouri, all over the place, and just so they could, that they can eat and everything like that. So I got involved in ministry. I pastored churches and stuff in Minnesota and Minneapolis and came back here finally to Chicago. And I was at church, big mega church here. I was Sunday school superintendent, largest Sunday school in the Midwest, and almost 2,000 people in Sunday school. So we did Black History Month. It was on February, about 6 years ago, 7 years, whatever. And I said, God, why when we do Black history, we only go back to the slave trade? Who were we 500 years before slavery, 1,000 years before slavery? What was our diet? Who was our God? So that stuck in my craw. So then what happened was that we was doing a meeting and one of the brothers said, we Gentiles. And I said, no, if anything, we Hebrews. They stopped the meeting. They said, brother, you can't come up, you can't say nothing like that without no evidence. So they gave me a month. I did research. I came back. I presented it again. They couldn't argue it down. And I said, what else don't I know? That put me on a whole different life path. And my goal initially was to be an apologist. An apologist is one who stands in defense of the gospel or the Bible. And so that was my intentions. So when I got this information and I started doing deeper and deeper digs, then I found so much stuff that was contrary. So I met with the president of Trinity Theological Seminary, the pastor, and I said, look, I found all this stuff is contradicting what we got here. Come on and blow it out the water. They say, look, brother, we got one of the top 3 theologians in the world live here in Chicago. Let's get back in 3 weeks. 3 weeks came, nobody 4 weeks, 5 weeks, I'm calling, nobody answering the phone. You know what I'm saying? So I just kept digging and digging and digging and digging. So, you know, it revolutionized my lens in which I saw life out of, and that ended up in me, going to Africa and doing some primary and secondary research to further dig into our culture and our background and who we really were. So, you know, the conqueror gets to write the history, not the conquered. So we can only go by what, Mr. Charlie say and Mayo say, So that experience going over there, going to Egypt, Ghana, Ethiopia, Kenya, I've been all in places there. And, it allowed me to do some research and I came up differently. And that book, that you just mentioned at the beginning of the show, A Well-Dressed Lie, following the breadcrumbs to uncomfortable truth. Because when I got that truth, made me feel very uncomfortable. It was outside of my paradigm. This is stuff I just never heard before, never saw before. And I've been to 3 Bible colleges, and I taught Bible college at Chicago Baptist Institute. So, just doing this research and everything like that, it changed my life. And I wanted to put it in paper form and give it back to people. So it's definitely a research book, that we need to offer to our children at 6th grade and higher, because the concepts are hard to understand. You're gonna have to read it 4 or 5 times over to grasp your kids and stuff like that. But to supplement the education that we're getting in the public school system, or even in the private school system, because we don't know who we are. We don't have a clue. And so that made me love us more. That I came back with love for us on steroids. I mean, it was like an out of body experience going over there and having these experiences. It was like, for a lack of better way of putting it, it was like, oh, this how I feel to be white. This how it feels. I mean, it was crazy. I took a group of guys with me. I took an investment banker. I took a lawyer. I took a professor, and I took a guy that's real versed and owns a lot of properties and development. And I put the team together. I called it GRIT, Global Resource Investment Team, GRIT. And we went over there, and it revolutionized our lives. I'm sorry, I just keep
No,
going,
no,
man. I
no,
get to talking, bro. You know what I'm
brother. Like I
saying?
said, your story is very intriguing. Trust me, I did my homework. I do my homework for these shows, and I'm like, I'm gonna let this brother cook. When he start to do his thing, just let him cook. Especially when I knew it would be that way when I asked you to talk about your journey, because your journey has been a very rocky journey, but it's also been very exhilarating. So, and I'm one that greatly believe in the notion that, look, I'm not saying that I don't believe in your suit and tie button up brothers and sisters who run for public office and some of the other things, and who have a voice and who have a platform in whatever capacity that it is. But the motto for this show is, we'll see you in them suites and them streets. And I just believe that the streets are just as important as the suites. And so
Yes.
I appreciate brothers and sisters who's been through a little bit, and who are able to relate young people. But before we move on, I want you to talk about you are affectionately known as 312 Unc. And that's the ANKH, not the UNC.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But before I do that, there's a couple of things I just want to clarify as I was listening, in your intro, and as you talked about your your journey, and that is, you brought up Cabrini Green.
Yes.
You know, and for those, you know, like I said, we're
Good
primarily out of
times.
Atlanta. That's those. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the apartments complex, you know, that was highlighted in the sitcom Good Times, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So I definitely
Absolutely.
wanted to bring, you know,
Yeah.
bring that up. But I do, because I think it's significant, and we talked about it in pre-production, and we talked about it, um, which is your the name that you're affectionately known by, 312 Unc,
Hmm.
ANKH, the Unc that is
Yes.
never ending life is
Absolutely.
the Unc, and so
Yeah.
eternal life.
Yeah.
So talk about 312 Unc.
Yeah. Well, 312 is the individual part of me that, that's all for the block, reaching out to our kids that's out here, on dummy, and again, if we don't have people that's gonna, go into those hard places, because I go everywhere. I'm out west. Look, there's no place where I do not go. I don't care whatever it is. I get in, right? And so and I've worked with kids, just so I was working with kids in the community so that they wouldn't go off into the whole gang scenario. So there's a famous priest here. His name is Father Flager,
Yes.
right? And so I'm just going to build this. I had a 20 felony arrest, what I ended up with: one theft, 2 counts of attempt murder, 4 counts of aggravated battery, and 13 counts of robbery. That was my spreadsheet. One of those cases was on Father Mike Flager, because what happened was somebody in his church, they were going to church on a Bible study night, whatever. We robbed them, and they must have told Father Flager, and he came out. It was nighttime, and we were coming down the street. I didn't live too far from, Father Flager's Saints of Mine, the church, and we ended up robbing some people there that was going to Bible study night. It was either after or before. And I guess they told Father Flager, and he started, I guess he was going to try to chase us or try to do whatever, because we ran off with it. And he came up on me. Everybody else was gone. And he said, "You see anybody go around here with a purse?" And the purse in my hand. So he tried to snatch the purse out my hand. So I stole on him. I hit him, you know what I'm saying? And he went on back and everything. And I left. But funny, I saw him about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and I hadn't seen him in years. And I brought it up. He remembered. But
Wow.
anyway, I got convicted on that. But when I got turned around, I came back up there to Saint Sabine and asked them, could I have the youth center, Dr. Martin Luther King Youth Center? I want to start bringing in kids. He was like, "Sure, yeah, yeah, you can do that." So I had like 80 kids on a daily basis, and I had church buses to go and pick the kids up, bring them to the youth center, and then we had pool table, homework help. I had everything going on, had volunteers and stuff. I do a little study with them, pray with them and stuff. And then, and all of that kind of stuff. That's probably my hand, right? And all those things. And so out of that, I was able to reach a lot of kids. They started talking about taking me to the kids are talking about, they grown now. They're working at Ford, Pepsi, all these different places. Like, man, you saved our lives. You weren't trying to get no money off us. You weren't trying to put us out there on the block serving us. So they want to take me down to I think it's the DR or Columbia for 4 5 days. They're just gonna pay for everything. So so again, that's that 312 that keeps his ear low to the ground and gets out there and really have heart to hearts and talk with these kids and show them options. And then I'm 312 because I'm giving life in the shop. So whether, I'm with the men in the barber shop, they
Yeah.
so I'm asking them relationship things. How do you, a lot of time people great at starting, but poor at finishing, helping them over certain hurdles. Unfortunately for us as men, we're not good communicators, right? We don't I can see you and bump up on you and be like, "Hey man, what's up, man? Hey, how you doing? Oh man, I'm good, man. What you been on, man? I ain't been through that much, man. You know what I'm saying? Same old, hanging out over here, boo boo. 5 minutes at the most. That same conversation women can have take 2-3 hours,
Yep.
right? So 312 wanted to look deep into maleness, which
Right.
is why I got my other program. I'm a co-founder of Brother Support Network, right?
Yes.
So again, it's about giving life and not taking life. I took life. I was taking life in my old self. But that 312, that means to birth life. It means to give life. So that put me on a different total trajectory in terms of reaching out. I say from the guttermost to the uttermost.
Yes. Yes. I want you to talk a little bit more about BSN in a second here, but before we do that, I wanted for you to, well, I wanted to say too, when you were talking about, you know, your journey to Africa and the things that you were doing over there, and you definitely spoke about how it's just something that you'll never forget, something that you'll never feel unless you are on the continent.
Right.
I definitely know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
My feet uh, hit the
Yes.
earth in Africa. I'm in
Yeah.
I'm 20 years old, and to this day, brother, I've never ever. You know, they say that people who on drugs or get high or whatever it is, that
Mm-hmm.
they're always kind of chasing that very first high or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I'll ever feel that way ever again in my life. I didn't cry, but water just started pouring out of my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a cry. It was just
Right.
like, why does water just coming out of my eyes? And so it is. I definitely know what you're talking about, and I say that to say that if for any of us, whether it was Malcolm X, you know, many years ago when he did his journey to Mecca, and although it was Middle East or whatever, look, all this stuff is Africa, Kemet, and the whole 9 yards. We didn't draw these borderlines. Okay, someone else drew all that stuff, right? Someone else separated us and drew lines. But at any rate, what I say is that you, just like yourself, you came back a different person. You came back
Oh yeah.
loving yourself even more, loving who we
Yeah.
are even more. And so I just challenge anyone, if you have the ways and means to be able to go to, as we call it, the motherland, you got to do it. You cannot pass that up. So I definitely understood what you were talking about then.
Yeah.
Also,
They.
I was going to ask you, in your
Mhm.
journey in Chicago, did you ever get to run into, and you already answered the question, did you ever get to run into Father Flager or Reverend Jeremiah Wright, with
Yeah.
whatever? I was going to ask you that, but you kind of already answered it,
Yeah.
and I just think
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah.
I didn't know you was going to say you end up hitting him, but it is
Yeah.
what it is.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, man. They gave for the black community. I think they gave Father Flager like about $4 million,
Mm,
right? Because he's out there marching. I marched with him. I marched with Father Flager and the big priest. He died now, but he was the first one they put over the faith-based initiative out of Washington, D.C.
okay.
But he was a bigger priest than Father Flager, and he did a movie on. He was in a movie, all this other stuff. But I marched with, but we go up these blocks, and then all this stuff right here and marching and stuff. But they gave him $4 million for the community. Now what's gonna happen? You're gonna see a abandoned house. Okay, tear it down, put some grass out there, put a bench. Okay, eye candy for the community. All right, cool. But that ain't changing. They ain't moving the needle, right?
Right.
What I mean by that, these kids still out here on the block, right? They still out here sliding. They still out here crashing. So we still got more of our babies going to prison than going to college. I mean, we still ain't seeing no change here. So my thing was, because Africa is so powerful, because I asked God, I said, how can these people be so different? Oh my God, they work together.
Yep.
We don't work together over here. We can't name one black organization, United States of America, say, wow, they doing an amazing job for black people. We ain't got none. Over there, they only do groups. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like,
Yep.
I'm like, we got our Oprahs, we got our Michael Jordans, we got our Magic Johnsons, we got these individuals,
But
but
those
they
are
not coming
individuals.
together.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they not coming together to do nothing significant, right? And I understand they're not allowed to. You know what I'm saying? Bob Johnson sold the BET because what did he want to do? He wanted to be the first person that opened up a black airlines, right? Because there's no, if we do all this travel, no black airline. They told Bob, no, Bob, you can't open no airlines and you can't open no shipping company that'll be international. But we'll give you a basketball team. You can do that. You get the Charlotte Bobcats, right? So I understand the dynamic that you can't do. You can't just Oprah, they'll let her do a school. LeBron can do a school. You can do an individual project.
Right.
You can do that, but you're not going to come together as a team and build something like that, or it's going to come at a detrimental cost to you. Well, over there in Africa, that's not there. All the
Right.
police black,
Yeah.
all the military black. And you would think, because what they do on Saturday morning, UNICEF, they show us a little baby in the mud with a
Yeah.
diaper on, and we stand there half naked with a spear. They know pictures worth 1,000 words.
Yes,
If
sir.
I show this to black people, when they think about vacation, that's the last place they gonna think about going, right? What they showing is Africa, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
That's they Mississippi that they showing. They ain't showing the cities. They ain't showing the skyscrapers. Look, I was in Ethiopia, Ababa, and look, the place is so big, city so big, you could put New York in them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But the poorest city in the United States is Alligator, Mississippi. Poor city. I've been to Alligator, Mississippi, but they're not gonna show America. Not gonna show that to the world, because if they
Right.
show that to the world, who gonna want to come to America, right? So yeah, that
And that's the
So I'm
crazy
trying
part
to
is
get
that
Father Flager. Huh?
every country has its rural, its
Yep.
urban, its suburban, and if we haven't figured out that they are not going to show the
Mm-hmm.
best of us and who we are, then we used to have, and I talk about it a lot on this platform, Sean. I talk about Saturday school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, before my time, before your
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
But there was Saturday school, and there are cultures that still have that right here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Jewish culture, I think some of
Mm-hmm.
the Asian culture. And it's like, okay, you go to school Monday through Friday, you learn what the colonizers teach you or whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. You gotta learn. He's like it says,
Yep.
to the victor goes the spoils, right?
Right.
So we're here. So we have to live. We have to compete, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what you do Monday through Friday. Okay.
Right.
Sunday, you go for your spiritual. If you're
Yep.
Christian, Friday, Muslim, whatever your Sabbath is, that's when you
Mm-hmm.
learn your spiritual.
Yes.
But Saturday school, or whichever day you choose based on religion and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
Saturday school is when you learn about who you are and where you come from.
Right.
I wish that we would get back to some semblance of Saturday school. And so, brother, so that way these people, those of us who have been on the continent, those, me, you, and so many others who've been on the continent can actually tell our people that what you're seeing is propaganda. That is not Africa. Right. That is Alligator, Mississippi, and you don't see the United States showing Alligator, Mississippi. So why should you believe that that is what Africa is? But finish out, brother. But I do want you to blend in, talking about the brother support network, the BSN, a little bit more as you finish up what you were saying.
Yeah. So that experience. So my goal is to take us over to Africa. I did a podcast with a principal at one of our bougie schools, if you want to say that we got out here in the south suburbs, and a guy running for mayor, and and they won a Stellar Award last year, this show and everything like that. And I was telling them about going to Africa. I'm gonna take them to Africa and everything like that. I believe that My point with in mentioning this in harping on Africa is the fact it's our solution. I mean, that just is all it is to it. You know, I came back from Africa. I was like, I'm never pressing charges on black people ever again. Because you know what? When you're stuck in a scenario like we are, and somebody do something to you, you know, because we get robbed. Obviously, if I'm robbed, I'm going to be robbed by a black man, or this is going to come in these directions. I was taking it personal. You know, I was looking at it because it personally happened to me. Yes, I'm sending him to jail. I'm pressing charge. No, it's bigger than that. The more I come to understand, it's so much more bigger than that. Po thing doing the best they can with what they have, based
Yes,
on
sir.
the limited information that they know. I'm sorry, it sounds bad, but the burglar got to eat and feed his family, same as the
That's right.
school's teacher. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of time we've been interpreting these behaviors from our white counterparts as being prejudiced and racist and bigots. No, it ain't none of that. It's not even about that. It's about the bag. Everything is about the bag. But going over there and taking these kids over there and taking these brothers over there and sisters as well to allow them to see you can't come back the same. You have a whole new level of appreciation for who you are and whose you are and who you belong to in the community. And that's what made me put me on this thing that I'm working out prices now. I'm gonna take this group because they said when you come back, take us first. 'Cause I want to take the students. Take us first. Then when we see what's going on, then when we come back, you start taking students over there. Because guess what? These kids out here on the block, we telling them, look, man, if you don't stop what you doing, man, you're gonna get shot out here, right? Man, that's a strike, like a lieutenant. Please shoot me,
Yep.
right? If you don't stop what you doing, you going to jail. Please send me to jail. Cause when I come out, I got rank now. That
All that
don't hurt
street,
me.
all that street cred, all that
All
street
that
cred,
street
bro.
cred. You're gonna die. You're gonna kill. Lil Deuce just died. They just killed Lil Deuce here in Chicago, right? Lil Deuce, 22 years old, just got popped off, right? He got several bodies on him and everything like that. But they caught him, shot him 20-something times. First he got shot once, lived. Then he shot him 10 times and he lived. And this week they shot him 20 times. He ain't make it this time. But the point is, you threaten them with death. You know what? I'm happy to die. Why? Because they're going to name the block after me. That area where Deuce is going to be named after him. So I continue to live. So we can't use fear tactics. We can't use threats and try to scare these kids into doing the right thing. It ain't going to work. They need a walking, talking, living, breathing example. They need to see it. And the way we do it is we take them over to Africa a minimum of 2 weeks. Ghana, Ethiopia, don't make no difference. We take them over there and let them see. Ain't no such thing as gang banging. Ain't no such thing as drive-bys. Ain't no such thing as cop. When I got to Ghana, they say, where you from? I say, I'm from Chicago. Oh, you from Chicago? No worry here. You stay out
Yep.
all night long. They
Yep.
said, what you do in Chicago that's part of a state, that's part of the United States, what you do on a weekend in violence and crime is what we do for an entire year for a whole country. So our weekend of violence represents a whole year for a whole entire country, not just another city, but an entire country. So, so again, we need that reality touch. And Black Men, Black Support Network, BSN, it's about supporting our men and our brothers that's out here, that's dying out here and dying alone and had no focus and had no connection. At least, okay, I'm gonna put it to you this way. It takes an X and a Y chromosome to make a man.
That's right.
It takes two X chromosomes to make a woman. I My new book that I'm working on called Unintentional Dragons. Um, that Y gene, that Y chromosome, it don't have as many genes as that X. So women start out ahead of us right off the bat. right? Talk about emotional intelligence, right? So, and then we slow, and then secondly, we got testosterone, right? So that's that get up, that's that go. And then the third thing we got ego. It's hard to tell men anything. We ain't try. Even if you telling me something to help me, I can't act like I'm learning from you because of my ego. You know what I'm saying? So, so creating a safe place for our brethren and men to be able to be vulnerable and talk about real issues. As a kid, I come outside 5 years old and I'm crying, and my dad and mama say, "What's wrong with you, boy?" "Well, Johnny hit me." "Well, did you hit him back?" "You better get him or I'm gonna get you." Right? That's the game. So you telling me as a male boy, it's okay to be angry and frustrated and act out of that. As men, we're not taught a steady or provided a steady diet of humility. Right? No. Girls cry, go on, girl, get it out. Cry, get it out, get it out, get it out. At least she learned how to get hers out without becoming violent. I think men are very emotional, almost more emotional than women. Reason why I say that is because when I look at Cook County Jail, we got 12 divisions, over 10,000 people in there. There's only one division for women. I look at the penitentiaries across the state of Illinois, 17, 18 penitentiaries. It's only one for women, and that's a co-ed prison. So who the one is emotional? Why you kill your cousin? Because he disrespected me, right? So all emotions, so Brother Support Network is designed to grapple with these things to help us feel like we're in a safe place to be vulnerable because we can get down. Many men feel lonely, but they will never say that. I feel lonely. I feel abandoned. I feel I'm not worthwhile. I feel like I have nothing that I can bring to the table. Brothers ain't finna talk like that. Even though that's what they thinking. That's why we are 70 times more successful in committing suicide than women. We've been killing our men, been dying, killing themselves, checking out of here and everything. And then, if not, then we join in the red pill or whatever, or incel, right? And MG told men going their own way, men on pause instead of menopause, man on pause, and all these different things because we so, and we in trouble out here in these streets. So my goal has been to sit down with men and work with men. My background, I mean, I got all this theology background in schooling, but I also have a bachelor's in business administration. I own Parker Brothers Delivery Company at one point as well. I started that with my brother. And a master's from DePaul in human services and counseling. So I'm therapy and therapist and looking at the real issues and everything like that. So, all designed to help me reach these young boys and these older men out here. And they ain't got nobody to talk to. They ain't got nobody that they can be vulnerable with. Because if I tell you that, you're going to take that and use it against me. Over in Africa, that don't exist. It's nothing but love over there. They say, "You home, welcome home." They telling us here, "Oh, the Africans don't like you. They don't like American blacks and all this." China, Mr. Charlie go on one side of the street, tell that brother, say, "You see them over there? Yeah, he said he don't like you." Go on the other side of the street, tell him the same thing, and neither one of them ever said nothing about each other. And yet they're hating each other without a cause. So, but yeah, that's a major thing. So, with the book, what I tried to do, is to teach us how to go to work white and come home black, right? To show us behind the curtain, because I went back 80,000 years with this book, right, and brought everything on up to today. So I even put some pictures in there to show Africa so people can see, and so the guard will come down, because they designed us to be a fear-based people. We the scariest, we think we straight gangster, but we the scariest people on the planet. We scared police gonna pull us over. We scared something gonna happen to our child. We scared we gonna lose our job. We scared we gonna be able to pay for our apartment, and we making decisions out of fear, and we don't even know it. We don't even know we scared, we shaking out here. We don't even know it. And so it's difficult to impossible to sometimes get people to understand these particular dynamics so that shifts can be made. But that's what I'm doing. I'm showing that don't happen like that over there across on the continent of Africa. It's straight love. It's straight receptivity. It's building. It's togetherness, and they asking for us to come and everything like that. But well, many of us we a little afraid.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna.
We've bought off into the propaganda of Africa, Sean, and it's just the bottom line. They have worked on that. When I say they, I'm talking about the colonizers of this country.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have worked on that
Yeah.
since we've been here.
Yeah.
Way over 400 years,
Genius.
way before 1619. Okay.
Yeah.
They
Genius.
have worked on it. And so today we have all of this misinformation about that continent of 54 countries, man. And so, but like you said, they want us there. They want us to come home. And so,
absolutely.
but too many of us have bought off into the propaganda. And so I just want to say what you're doing with the Brother Support Network and getting out that word and letting these young and not so young folks know, what is happening, what is truly going on, man. I think is invaluable. I think it's the closest that we're going to get to that Saturday school that I talked about. And like you said, just about everything that, for every reason, almost to the letter, every reason that you created, came up with, this Brother Support Network, this BSN, is pretty much the same reasons that I came up with this Black Man's Roundtable, for almost the same reason, man. What they call, what was popular, I don't know how popular it is now, that was definitely popular 2 to 3 years ago. I don't even really know who coined the term toxic masculinity. Yes.
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity is what they talked about. It was very popularized. I haven't been hearing it lately, but it doesn't mean that it still doesn't exist. Maybe it should have been called something else, because who want to be called toxic? I don't know. But everything about, there's nothing that I can think of that you said that was a lie, brother. But when you describe Black men and what's holding us back in this country, and it's quite different. The African American, Black American, whatever you prefer, is a different man than any other Black man on the continent or in the diaspora. We have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray, run amok, all that stuff. And now we're toxic to each other. There's a reason that the colonizer, there's a reason that he don't want you to go back to Africa. There's a reason that he paints it with a terrible brush, so that you won't go back. Anytime somebody trying to take something from you or guide you from going a direction, when we're talking about the colonizers, they're not doing that for for the betterment of you. They're not telling you not to get out there and vote or whatever it is, because they don't think it's powerful. Do the opposite. But anyway, I definitely appreciate the way that you laid that out, brother, because it is. I mean, it's to the point, and they know it. It's to the point where Black men in this country, man, it's like we can't even talk to each other for a heartbeat. I am very proud to say that I wear my emotion on my sleeve. I have nothing to prove to nobody. If you think whatever you think it is that you think about me, well, all I can say is, hey, brother, okay, if that's what you think, then the only thing between us is air and opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at the end of the day, I don't have a son, but if I had one, I would be the last to tell my son, suck it up. Don't cry. Don't do this and don't do that. Don't show no emotion. Man, this guy's going to grow up and do some terrible things. Absolutely. And all of that built up stuff is going to come out, and it's going to come out in a way that's not pleasant.
Right. It is so. See, and this is the problem why we don't maintain these relationships, because see, even our women think that men think like them, and men think women think like us. Men and women don't think alike. We are categorically all the way as far as left is from the right, right? So we do not think alike. We do not. So what is of value for one does not necessarily mean it's of value to the other. And so that's the reason why it's not as successful. I'm not, I don't care. People can choose to be whatever they want to be, right? But just think about this. The number one divorce rate in the country, right? The number one divorce rate in the country that has like a 28% success rate, right? 72% of it ends in divorce. That's lesbians. That's women and women. Then
Yep.
the next one that's up from that is regular heterosexual marriages, right?
Yep.
They at around 50 to 49%, right?
Yep.
Then you go up from there. Arranged marriages. Arranged marriages last longer than those other two, right?
Yep.
Between 60 and 57, 60%. But the marriages that last the longest
Yes, sir.
are gay men.
Gay men.
You see what I'm
I
saying?
knew exactly
So
where you were going. Yep.
so because now you've been thinking that women think like you. Women don't think like you think. Only people think like you think is another man.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? But you know, we don't have nobody to talk to. We don't have nobody to confide in, and we got that ego, and we got that testosterone, and we already, like I said, it's automatic thoughts. And so what we do, we turn around and we kill ourselves, and we do it rough. Reason why women don't outpace us, because at least they'll try to take some pills or try to cut their wrists in the bathtub or something. But with men, we taking guns.
Oh yeah.
We
Yeah.
jumping out of 13 floors. We in the garage putting carbon dioxide and all these different other things like that. And I had a good friend of mine, best friend of mine, preacher. We went to Bible college together. I'm the godfather of his son, right? They found he committed suicide. They had some problems with up in Bible college. I guess he messed around with one of these girls, and he went to one of the churches to speak. His wife with him, his kids with him, and the girl came up and said, "Oh, you're a preacher, huh?" And his wife standing right there. So it got back to the Bible college, and in Bible college you couldn't even wear mustaches. I went to a holiness Bible college. So you get back to the school, they said, "Well, you finna graduate, we're gonna work with you, But the wife was like, "Man, I don't care. This crazy." So he graduates, they come back here to Chicago, and she like, "I'm sorry, I can't do this no more." And so his mother called, Miss Green called asking for him. She said, "No, I put him out." She went from motel to motel, found him hanging from the ceiling, killed herself. You know what I'm saying? So now he's in the ministry. He's a pastor. I mean, we got God. I mean, come on, if any, you know what I'm saying? So it's stronger than that. And these are the dynamics that's going on. Now imagine these kids here. They ain't been able to talk. They ain't got no daddy around. Ain't nobody caring nothing about me. They going in groups downtown by the thousands, jumping on cars and all that stuff. What's going on with these kids? Listen, y'all having fun, eating good, going on vacation. We out here, ain't nobody gonna be happy if we ain't happy. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you got all these knee-jerk reactions, but then there's no movement to kind of really pull us together. And so we go with the political arm and try to do this, and we get promises, and then nothing ever happened. You know what I'm saying? So these kids out here, they like, look, I'm not doing it. My grandmama did it. They've been going to church, praying, marching around, binding, loosing, doing warfare, praise, and worship, and we still ain't got nothing to eat. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And we got our white brethren on the other side. They're supposed to be Christians and everything. If they was about the life for real, they would go down to every state that they in and lay on them steps on the state capitol and say, we ain't moving from here until you change the temperature of what's going on in these black communities. Because unfortunately, it is what it is. Mayo people are our mamas and daddies. They say where we can go to school and where we can't go to school. They say how much money we can make and how much money we can't make. They say how much influence we can have on the planet and how much we can't. So when the kids messed up, it's on the parents. My son and my daughter break out a window, I got to go pay for that. So here's the thing. They can change this immediately. Your news channels in Atlanta, my news channels in Chicago and New York and Baltimore and Memphis and all these different places where all these bodies, catching all these bodies and stuff. If they say, look, to the news people, y'all are investigative reporters, right? Right. Yes. Okay. Good. No more negative news about black people on the news, period. I don't care if they are out there killing. I want you to go find strength-based, positive stories, and then on the news segments, that's what we gonna show. Man, our self-esteem and our babies gonna begin to rise. It's gonna bring us, it'll bring a revival to the black community, right? But I'm not finna do that. Why? Because you ain't gonna be competing with my kids. It ain't personal. It ain't personal business. It ain't personal. So I'm not finna let you. No, we're gonna keep you down. Our kid, we're gonna keep eating and doing all these different other things. But we don't see that. We can't. If we were able to see that and catch that and say, "Oh man," then we can move a little bit different on the planet. But we don't do that. But I tell you who did see it. He moved to Ghana right while I was down there in 2019, and he said, "You know what? I see it, and I am never gonna live in America again." And you know who that was? Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder live in Ghana. He blind and can still see the difference. So just imagine what we will see and what we will experience if we allow ourselves to, have that experience. But I believe that's our Mecca, that's our hope. Not all parts of Africa, because they came at me in Egypt, Hamas down there and the Brotherhood down there. And I come down, they take
they've been hoodwinked, bro, quite a bit.
Yeah.
And they don't even want to say that they're part of Africa, a lot of Egyptians or whatever. But it is what it is. But before I let you close it out, Sean, with letting people know how they can reach you and projects you have coming up and all that good stuff, it reminds me, brother, when you talk about the male and the female, sisters, there are groups of sisters out here, black women, who they form and they do these trips, land trips, not so much cruises and different things like that. They do land trips to black spaces, black countries. We don't realize the amount of weight on our shoulders just from institutional racism in this country every single day. There's a bunch of groups. There's not one, there's not 10, there's not 20. There's a bunch of groups that does this, that these women get together and they go to these predominantly or all black nations. And she said, you don't know what it feels like. I wish every black person in America knows what it feels like that I had my son, or I think it was two sons, on one of these trips. I forget what country, or I think it was just a Caribbean nation. And she said that we're on the beach and her two sons, they were or a bunch of kids, I think two of her sons were involved, and they were throwing the football on the beach back and forth. And one of them threw it kind of far, threw it way down there where this whole other group of people were. And she said, I didn't even budge because those people look like me. And I know that my sons would not get shot or anything, that they would just throw him the ball. And that's what they did. They just threw him back the ball. And so he continued to play. She said, I think about what if that group of people were white people. And she said that when you walk around these nations, and you and I have had that opportunity, when you walk around these black spaces where there are just us, the amount that you don't even realize the amount of weight that racism in America puts on your shoulders every single day. Like you said, from the news, the most powerful people over the past 40 years, since the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the 1965 Voting Rights Act, the most powerful people have been local newsroom executives who make the decisions about what goes on the news and what doesn't go on the news. Now, those people have faded out to a certain extent because nobody really watch TV news.
Right.
But now these most powerful people are these Zuckerbergs and these people that own the social media and control your algorithms and all of that. They have taken the place of the executive producer or whoever, whatever they are in these used to be newsrooms that controlled, the entire message of what goes out and basically propaganda in America. So I definitely appreciate you breaking that down, brother. And there's so much work for us to do, but I am so glad before you close this thing out that you know what, that so-called toxic masculinity or whatever we want to call it that men have with each other and even with themselves. You talked about dying by suicide and the unsuccessful rate, if you want to call it that, the unsuccess rate, because it's not a success if you die.
Right.
So the unsuccess rate for men is so much higher than it is for women, meaning that more men end up dying by suicide when they attempt suicide. They're going to take the gun to the cranium. They're going to jump, 15 stories or whatever it is. They are going to go all the way. They are not reaching out for any kind of help. They don't want any kind of help. They just want to die. And so it's very, very sad, but I'm glad, brother, that, organizations like, the BSN, organizations like the BMR, the Black Man's Roundtable, the Brother Support Network that you guys are doing in Chicago, I didn't hesitate one bit as this thing came together and I was reached out to, and I'm like, look here. I don't hesitate with that kind of stuff. I don't have an ego. I don't have any of that. And so when it's like, what I see is an opportunity for brothers in Chicago and brothers in Atlanta, two of America's biggest, blackest cities. And I know grassroots when I see it. I understood that, okay, these brothers are doing what we are doing here. They're doing it with maybe a different way, but I understand the importance of platform. And I'm like, I have to open up this platform to these brothers. But anyway, Sean, brother, it was a pleasure having you on. I can't wait, to have you back on. I can't wait until we are doing what we are doing in these two geographically different places. But guess what? Because of technology, nothing really can separate people when you want to do something good, when you want to do something right. But Sean, look, close it out, brother, and then let us know after you do your closing statement, if you will. Let us know how we can reach you, man, what you have going on. I know you got another book coming out, but close it out, brother.
Yeah, well, it's been definitely a treat and a treatment to be on the podcast with you today. I just want everybody to know, it's important for you to have emotions, but not for your emotions to have you. And what I simply mean by that is that the way we're being controlled is through emotions, right? Is based on feelings, whether we feel like it or we don't feel like it. It's these emotions, and they use our emotions to keep us in a position where we're not able to thrive. Some of us are able to rise above it and thrive. We got some beautiful, wonderful Black people doing some amazing things. Let's just say on a conservative, let's just say we 60 million deep in the United States of America. Only 6 million of those 60 million people are the people that have been involved in some kind of criminal activity. And the rest of those 6 million are the ones that's making $1 million or more. So our wealth and our criminals, the highest wealth and the criminal, you put them together, you're looking at 6 million people. You still got another 54 million people like this brother and me going to work every day, feeding our family, taking care of our kids, washing dishes, cooking, and stand up, right? But that's not what we finna get no information on that. All journals, for the most part, there's been done on us. When I say journals, talking about publications coming from major universities, research journals. The work that's been done on us has been done from a deficit model, which means that when they done research studies on us, they do it from a negative perspective. Look at the broken homes. Look how many of them going to jail. Look at how many of them dropping out of school. They're no strength based. Like, wow, look at At least the Mexican community, they say, look at them. They stick together. They get they family oriented, right? The Asians, look how they push their kids to be so smart in school. They getting strength-based studies. We're not getting these studies like that, right? Empirical-based journalistic review studies from major universities in education. So again, you got to ask yourself and say, God, what's going on here, right? As the Brits say, some funky in London, right? So I just want you to know that if you begin to work towards and on your emotions, right? Where your emotions don't have you, because that's how we moving out here, especially these YNs and some ONs. You know what I'm saying? We man, why you kill your cousin? Because he disrespected me. That's an emotion. That's a feeling, made me feel. You know what I'm saying? And my book is talking about I diagnose those males that have the issue when it come down to us that really have an issue. All males don't have issues with me. I'm not racist. I'm not prejudiced. And when I talk about white people, I'm not talking about the ordinary, everyday, run-of-the-mill or typical white person. When I'm talking about European, I'm talking about those in a position of power. I diagnose them in my book with PTIS, post-traumatic inferiority syndrome. I argue it's not about prejudice, bigotry, and racism. No, those are the big behaviors. So we see these behavior and we assign a meaning to it because they overt. But no, what's the covert meaning of this behavior? What's really driving this behavior? Am I breaking in your house, stealing your cars, putting pistols in your face just because I ain't got nothing else to do? Or am I doing it because I have a dope problem or a drug problem? Right? So when you send me to jail, if you don't address my drug or my dope problem, when I get out, I'm coming to see you again. Right? Because that's the covert meaning of this behavior. So what we're seeing is the overt behavior, this big O in your face behavior from some of those whites, and we just assigning meaning to it. No, you need to know what's driving this behavior. Once you know what it's about, then you're able to govern yourselves accordingly. And I just want to say, Professor Walter Williams here from Chicago just passed. My mentor is 94 years old. He really did some deep digs and really, really poured into my life and helped me to understand and see the unseen wrapped up in the seen. And I'm just saying, if you haven't been, you can 13 hours, you in Atlanta, 13 hours, not even 13 hours, you in Atlanta, because that's like 4 hours from Chicago flight. So you're looking at around about 9 hours at the most to get from here to Ethiopia. Just go to Ethiopia and just, if you're scared, there ain't nothing to be scared of. Ain't no violent police walking around with sticks. Ain't no guns. Ain't none of that. We driving Bentleys, Rolls. We I'm gonna say this. I came out, I was in Ababa, Ethiopia. I had a 4-star hotel, cost me $17.64 a night, right? I come out, I see this 28-story high rise going up. I see the brother there with his white helmet on. I'm gonna go over there and talk to him. I said, excuse me. Yeah, I said, so you the general contractor? Contractor. Contractor. No contractor. No, this you see here? Yeah. 8 more are going up right now. There is a consortium of us. We work together and we doing this. This you see here, already rented, already done, already done. We need to see that. We need to see us as people together, working together and building. You're going to feel motivated when you come back because the people that go with you, you're going to be able to work with them. But the ones that didn't go and didn't see it, it's going to be hard for them. Ain't personal, but it's going to be hard for them to wrap their mind around that. So I'm going to encourage you to get that book. I'm going to encourage you to get a well-dressed lie, following the breadcrumbs to an uncomfortable truth. It's expensive. Yeah, it costs money. It does, because they didn't want me putting this book out anyway. Actually, the original title of the book, my brother, was A Well-Dressed Lie, A White Agenda at a Black Expense. But due to the toxicity of the, people feeling angry, because I ain't angry at nobody. You know what I'm saying? I love everybody, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we're going to keep it a buck. I'm going to tell the truth and let the chips fall where they lay. But the book is necessary to have that book and to sit down with your child, because they're not going to get this education in the school system. We don't teach in this country. We program and we indoctrinate. We give it to you and you spit it back out just like I gave it to you. You ain't using none of your stuff in college. I done been all these colleges and all this other stuff. I'm not using any of this stuff. It's a waste of time. So they're not giving us what we need. You can learn about stocks in kindergarten. You ain't getting that to college. They even talked about that in high school. So you get the book. It's on, I prefer you get it from Dorrance Publishing Company because I get more royalties in that, but it's at Amazon, it's at Walmart's, it's only, but they started the price out on my book at $72. I said, my audience. Why you gonna charge $72? That's a tank of gas. Ain't nobody spend no $72 on no book, you know? But again, the thing to me was, well, we want your people to know these things. We would tell them, right? We would tell them, we don't need no help. It ain't what we trying to do. So you can reach me at kicking, spell the whole word out, just like you kicking a football. Kicking all the tires at gmail.com. Kicking, ALLTHETIRES at gmail.com. You can reach me that way. I got another book too that I wrote called Unfinished Business, and it talks about my story that I shared a little bit about in the opening, growing up on the block, getting involved in gangs, and then getting my whole life turned around and put on a different trajectory. This book that and that's you can reach out to me, like I said, email me. I'll get you a copy of that book that's not on the different sites like my other book is. So
Okay,
thank
so
you so much
this
for
is
this
not, it's not
opportunity.
in stores at this point.
No, this one is
Gotcha.
not in stores, right? But
Gotcha.
the one
Gotcha.
that a well-dressed lie is in stores
Oh yes, sir.
and everything like that. So, but yeah, that's the thing. So I'm in it to win it for our people. I'm hoping, since we're doing this connection together now, when we get ready to go to Africa, maybe we can do the Atlanta and African and Chicago thing together and going up there and take some of our men up there, maybe some of my babies, if possible, just so they can have that out of body experience
Yes,
and
sir.
see that, it has to be a bucket list item. I'm not saying anywhere in Africa. I'm going to give you the places where to go. You go to Ghana, we run in Ghana. We run in Uganda. We're running obviously Ethiopia,
Ethiopia. Yep.
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Well, but Ethiopia, Ghana, where else? Kenya. Oh man, Kenya is off the chain in Kenya. Kenya is beautiful. Rwanda. Rwanda is the cleanest country in the world. Period. By far. Ain't no place. They clean that place in the morning, in the afternoon, at night. We got plush, beautiful homes. Black presidents, all them people on the money, black. You know what I'm saying?
And you know what, Sean, for our younger audience, a lot of them think that, have been told or taught that the music, Afro beats, come
Yeah.
out of Nigeria, but
Mm-hmm.
it really came out of
Right.
Kenya. But
See?
anyway, so hey, if
Yep.
if you like Afro beats, get the
Yep.
real thing right
Yep.
from over there. Yeah,
And they loving us, man.
loving us.
Look, $100 American money in Ghana. Ghana money is CDs. $100 bill in Ghana will give you $575 a day money, right? In Ethiopia, their money is birr, right? You give $100 American, you get like $800 in birr. In Kenya, their money is shillings, right? You get $100 in shilling, you get over $1,000. You take $500 and you balling out of control. You
Yep.
understand? So I had 5 suits made down there for $100 in Ghana. So I'm just saying it's there and it's welcoming. and they're loving. So if you want to be a part of this trip that I'm going to be putting together for next year as well, I left my, again, kicking all the tires at gmail.com. Or if you're interested in one of the books that's not out on the, you can reach me that way as well. And for anything else, please do so.
Absolutely. Look, Sean, it's been a pleasure, man. I am looking so forward, man, to our continuing partnership with what I'm kind of calling the Black Man's Roundtable Extension Chicago brothers.
Yes.
Looking definitely forward to that, man. And definitely looking forward to, been looking for a reason to, okay, it's time to go back to Africa. It's been a very long time. Been looking for a reason. Put this thing together, man. Let's use our connections. Let's use our influence. Let's use everything that we have, networks and everything, to get as many brothers. And we're going to tell, well, I don't even want to hear the excuses of, well, they say if you leave the country, then you can't come back. And look at here. We're going to, look, there are Black men who can teach you how to travel, who can teach you what to do to your phone to make sure that they don't try to use that to hold you and do all kinds of stuff with you coming back into the country. Just get your doggone passport.
That's that fear again. See,
that's
we're scared. We're scared to go over there. We scared. Listen, we just scared. We shaking out here on a leaf. We scared, and that's what's immobilizing us. And I forgot to say this. I did want to say this. I also have a program called SELA. SELA, Social Emotional Learning Academy. This is this program I put together because when I was assistant principal over on the west side of Chicago at this, and I had Moes, Vice Lord, gangsters. I had so many. They told me, they said, Mr. Parker, last year, my first year, they said, last year we had 131 fights. I said, okay, don't worry about it. So I got in. My first year, there were 33 fights. My second year, there were 12 fights, right? So, and I ain't got none but gang members in these schools. So I said, if I can do this here, I can do this anywhere, right? Because all principals will tell you, if they can get rid of 10% of their students, they'll have a great school. But you can't get rid of them 10% because they got IEPs and 504s. They're protected class, right?
Yep.
So I teach coping skills. I put this program together. I got a superintendent out here just reached out. I'll be talking to him, putting the program in the schools here and everything like that. So, but we can do this.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So let's do it.
Absolutely, brother. Like I said, Sean, looking forward to it, man. We're going to continue to work together. This is just the beginning of something that I think can grow. This is needed right now so much in our community, especially with our brothers. We got to just always remember, man, why we created these organizations, your BSN, my BMR, and all these things, and even with your social emotional learning that you've created. We have to just always remember, man, why we did it. And I think that would keep us grounded. So anyway, brother, I am looking forward to it. It was great having you on. Reach out to this brother. If he gave you his information, reach out to this brother. And with that, Sean, I will see you hopefully, brother, sometime very soon, whether it's back on this platform or whether it is in person. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, brother. And yes, sir. And with that, catch the Black Man's Roundtable podcast the third Thursday of the month. Also catch the Black Man's Roundtable with Rodney and Rodney the second Thursday of the month. And the Black Man's Roundtable local lookout with Rodney and Bobby the first Thursday of the month. All episodes drop at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Until next time, we'll see you in them suites and them streets. Peace.
Peace out, bro.
Peace out. Hey, family. If you like what you saw, visit our website at blackmansroundtable.com for more information or to check out more content. Until next time, we'll see you in them suites and them streets. Peace.